Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the Academy Answers podcast. Thanks for listening, thanks for joining, and it's always a pleasure to come to you. This podcast, if you're coming here for the first time, is about personal development, growth, happiness, business, developing yourself personally and professionally in an aim to become your best self, in an aim to find why you're here, in an aim to find your purpose and to use your entire life living in that mode. Not to be to settle where you ended up, because a lot of us have settled in that place where we ended up with the cultural norms, with the societal norms, with all the stuff that they've imposed on us, and deep down in our spirit we're feeling something else, but we are afraid, or we are too programmed to connect with that thing that we're feeling deep, and we spend most of our lives thinking that we should be somewhere else or there is something better, but we've never stepped out to actually act on that thing that we feel. And consequently, we get into our older years and we feel lost, dejected, and we are full of the heaviest burden that senior citizens carry, and that is regret. Because you might be sick, you might be broke, but on top of all of that, when your head hit the pillow, or when you sit in silence, when you're alone in the nursing home, when you're alone at home, when you are on those long drives, nothing boggles or nothing bothers the mind more than regret does. Regret is heavy. Regret weighs tons. So we're trying to catch you before you know it and just leave it at knowing it. We're trying to appeal to you. We're trying to inspire you to get going on something so that you can live in that mode. One great writer said that it is not a calamity to have dreams unfulfilled, but it's a calamity to not have dreams. It's not a calamity to not have goals that you didn't reach. It's a calamity to not have those goals, because a lot of times what we look at is the event. We look at the event of success, and that is what leads to the empty successes, to the successes that are almost failures, because you have them and you still don't feel fulfilled. You don't feel the happiness that comes with it, because everything was about an event. You don't enjoy the process. So we're making millions selling something or doing something or working somewhere, and we really don't enjoy it. And everybody else see the houses, the cars, the vacations, and all the trappings and the trimmings of luxury, but they alone see it, and you have it, but you don't feel it, because you thinking that there is something else. You're feeling that there must be something better, and you have that emptiness inside you. Most times that's because you were focused on the event, and the process does not inspire you. The process does not motivate you. The process does not bring you alive. So when you find who you are created to be, that process brings you alive. You'll see a musician come alive. You see shy musicians and artists and celebrities. But when they're in their role, they're a different person, because that's their purpose. That's who they were created to be. And that God-given thing energizes you. It makes you strong. It makes you powerful. It makes you great. So that's what this podcast is about. And we answer questions that people ask us in this space and on these topics at scale. Meaning we use this medium, and although we reach out to the email or to the messages and give our opinions, not because we're brighter than anybody else, but because we have some experience and we've studied this extensively. So we reach out to help those who are part of our audience. I don't know, I have about 4 Instagram accounts with about 100,000 followers. We have Facebook with another 5,000 people, somewhere there. And we have an email list with another 23,000 people, 14,001, 7,001. We have a wide audience that we've managed to build up over 5 years. People listen to us. We've done, we do personal coaching and all that stuff. So people do care, And because of that, we come out here and we do what we're called to do. I never chose this. This chose me. I was doing this long before I knew that that's what I was doing. I was encouraging my friend, motivating my friends, helping them to do their exams, helping them to do their schoolwork, helping them to function better in intimate relationships and all that stuff, a whole shebang. So until I found this, and I found this through God, I think, put me in a place where I had to be to get to here. So I went to a depressive state. I lost a lot of money in business. I lost a pile load of money, and business went bad, and I was down, out, and somebody handed me a book called Big Picture Thinking, and that opened it back up entirely for me, and I found my place and my space, and I'm comfortable that this is what I've been called to do. I'm not asking questions about it. When I was writing my blog, I wrote a blog in 2000, and I think it was 14 going into 15 and 16. I wrote for 753 days straight without asking anybody anything, with a small audience for half that time until it built. So we know that a calling transcends everything else. A purpose transcends judgment. It transcends personal opinions. And until you have the courage, I think it was George Bernard Shaw who said that courage is the greatest attitude of the mind next to honor. You have to be brave. You have to overcome the fear of judgment, of criticisms, of all the other things. Because if you want to do something, when you start out, you will suck. But the important thing is that nothing is learned by osmosis. You actually have to do the work, and you have to go through the initial stages and the apprenticeship stages before you actually get to some professional stage. You have to earn the right to have a massive audience and for people to listen to you. You don't come up here and just say it. You know, you have to, and even if the people come, you have to have something to say to keep them there. And unless you have done the work, you will not have anything to say. So it's as plain as that. So this question is, I am struggling to grow and to develop to get to my goals. What am I missing? I don't feel like I'm in stride. I don't feel like it's happening. Where are the fundamentals? Because, you know, we talk about fundamentals, and this reader obviously knows that. And there are three fundamentals that we can talk about when it comes on to finding your spot, knowing what you're doing, getting into your groove, measuring, testing, tracking your growth, and knowing if you are getting ahead, or knowing if you're in stride, or feeling that you're in stride. There are three basic fundamentals, because a lot of times, my grandmother used to say, if you chase too many ducks, you catch none. So a lot of times people suffer from a lack of focus. It happens to me also. It happens to a lot of entrepreneurs who are passionate about doing something. Because we want to do something so bad, we end up trying a lot of stuff, or going to the next thing, or exploring other options, because naturally we have the capacity to do, but we don't have the capacity to do everything at the same time, or we don't have the capacity to master it all. So, but we don't know that. We think that we can, so we actually head out doing it, and then it becomes a problem for us. So if you are struggling to find your stride, if you're struggling to feel your growth, if you're struggling to advance, the first thing you have to look at is your focus. And people say, I'm focused on this, I'm focused on that, and all that stuff. But there are two ways to actually know if you are focused on the thing that you're supposed to focus on or not. And this is a fundamental thing. And I often tell, like, everybody I coach, everybody who reach out to me, the first thing, or among the first things that I often say, is that get yourself a notebook, get yourself a journal, get yourself that book, textbook, and some book. Get yourself that book. Because that thing that they pushed you to do when you're a kid, that was the be-all and end-all of your existence, that they were killing you about, that the whole of your initial life was focused on. And they did that every single day with you from the day you were born until like from you can start to move around and everybody's coming at you with it. That thing, that learning to read and write, that literacy and numeracy gig that they've pushed on you all the time is powerful. It's not a part of life, it's a way of life. So I always tell people to get your book and write. When you write, writing is a psychoneural activity. There's something that happens in the mind between the pen and the paper. Writing is a psychoneural activity. There's something that happens in the mind between the pen and the paper. So you start to write stuff down. Why? I want you to be able to have a physical connection with what you say you're going to do if you want to track your focus. Because a lot of times we think we're focused because we're thinking about focus. But focus is actually not a thinking thing. Focus is an execution thing. So you test your focus by two fundamental things. And the two fundamental things, it's as simple as this. It is your schedule and your income and expenses. That's how you test your focus. How your time is spent, how your money is spent and earned. That's what you use to check your focus. So if you want to know if you're in stride, those are the three fundamentals. I'm talking about your focus, and that falls under the other two things, which is how you spend your time, how you spend your money, and how you earn your money. I put income and expense together, and I put your schedule. What are you doing? You know, last night I was tracking my time with my wife, and I was showing her how it pans out. I said, don't start at 6 o'clock in the morning, because people start at 6 o'clock and they miss that the day start at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, 12:01. Don't start there. Start at 12 o'clock. So the first 4 or 5 hours of the day, if you wake up at 6, you spend sleeping. So that's good. And then if you work a 9-to-5 job and you commute or you don't commute, then in the mornings you start to prepare for work. You prepare for work for 2 hours, an hour, put commute into that stuff, and you go to the job and they pay you for 8, but you spend 10 on it. And to get back home, you spend another hour and a half or 2 hours. So now you're spending 12, you get paid for 8. So you're losing 4. You actually are losing 4, because it's you're doing the activities that you're doing are not directly associated, are not directly paid for. And then there's the evening section of when you get home and all the other errands and stuff that where you're losing time. So when you look at your timetable, when you look at your schedule, you will see where your time is going. Where your time is going has an enormous effect. It's like it's the main ingredient. It's a big variable. It's a main variable in where your life is going, because time is what life is made up of. Your time. How are you spending your time? How much time are you spending doing the thing that you say you are to do, or that you say you're focused on? You have to know that. You have to zero in on that and say, okay, I'm spending a half an hour reading and truly. Most people spend 2 hours or all the time focusing by saying they're focused by thinking about it. So yeah, I'm thinking about this, I'm focused on that. Boy, I'm focused on getting my life together. That's not it. What are you doing? So where are the hours? What time frame do you have set aside to do this thing? And when people call me about businesses and online businesses and brick and mortar businesses and things they want to do, I'm always saying to them, how much time do you have to invest in this thing? How much time do you have to invest in this thing? Like, what time slot are you going to block to do it? Because people think things can be done without time. Like, you must spend the time to do it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Like, I'm going to do this business. I want to start blogging, or I want to start my YouTube channel, or I'm thinking about doing the Shopify store. I'm going to invest in this business, or I'm starting to sell. How much time are you spending on your business? How much time are you going to block to spend on it? Well, in the evenings when I come home, I could work on it. No, you need a specific plan. Okay, on a Monday is my lightest day at work. So, and my errands I don't do on Mondays usually. I have one errand, but I could shift it to Tuesday. I'm going to shift it over to Tuesday. I'm going to get home. But when I get home at 6. I have stuff to do in the house. Usually I get through that by 7, and by 10 o'clock I'm tired. So I'm going to use 7:30. I'm going to tell everybody in the house to leave me alone. I'm going in this room and I'm going to spend that time to do this thing. I have a plan as to the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to put them on this schedule, this timetable, this calendar, and this is how I'm going to do it. I don't have time on a Tuesday because it's heavy at work. I leave work late. It doesn't work out. So Tuesday is a no-no. On Wednesday, I'm off. I have half the day. I really must do these things that are maintenance things that I got to do around the house and blah, 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 blah. So I have no time. But I'm not good after 12 in the days. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift those things to the evening, and in the morning I'm going to work on my business for 4 hours. And you fix the entire week on that basis, and you go forward that way. So you have your timetable of when you're going to work on your business. When you work the week out and you find yourself with 10 hours, you're like, how many hours did my coach say I need? The coach told you that you need 12. How am I going to find 2 more? Or what's going to happen here? Can I work on 10? Let me speak to him about 10, and let's see if we can figure out how we can fit the work into 10 hours, or what will I be leaving on the table if I only do 10. And you have that planned out, and you decide that you will stick to your schedule. That's it. You got to be consistent. You must stick to that schedule. Now, the next thing is that you don't have any development plan. You don't have any business plan. You don't have any plan at all if you're not spending money on your process. Your process needs finances. It needs money. You got to learn stuff. You got to buy tools. You got to do the work, and the work needs money. This is not Amish country. This is not back in the days. You got to put some money in. So if you're not willing to put money in, you could use the time, but it's just ridiculous, because at some point in time you will not have all that you need, and someone else will have it, and they're going to charge you for it. It's business. It's a world. It's that's how it works. If you want to go to school, you're gonna have to pay the people for the stuff. If you want to live, you have to pay the government for the thing. To just stay in this environment, you gotta pay to use the road. You gotta pay your mortgage company, pay your landlord. You have to pay to play. So, how much money do you have set aside to spend on your business? Maybe not today. Maybe not next week. Maybe not next month, but when you have the money, for God's sakes, don't decide that you won't. We're in this mode where we will give the money to some other person, corporate, school system, or some program to help us to learn something that is structured and have a big building and have these years of stuff. But we will not give the money to ourselves, like buy a book, or enroll in a training program, or buy this guy coaching program. We don't want to do that. We want to wing it and twist and go around because we think we can hack it. Because we hate to spend money on something that we want to do. That cannot be a progressive way to go forward. So it is your focus, your time, and your schedule that will ultimately determine if you're getting into stride, if you're going to reach your goal, if you're on the right path, if you have momentum, if you know what you're doing, if you are actually doing anything. So go back, step back, whatever area of your life we're talking about here, that's what you need to look at. Where's my focus? That's the first question. How do I actually hone in on that focus thing instead of just thinking about and people, I'm focusing on my this, I'm focusing on my that, and there's no time and no money being spent on the thing that they say they're being focused on. So get the definition of focus right. That's the idea. The definition of focus is the time and the money that you are spending doing the thing. It's as simple as that. Not starting the thing and thinking about the thing. Thinking is a very small part of focus. Focus is what you're doing towards executing on what you are saying. That's what focus really is. People, oh, yeah, I'm focused on building this business, and you have no time in it. I'm focused on having a better relationship. I'm focused on my health. You must be spending time learning, doing, getting the information, tracking, tweaking, converting, changing, testing. You must be spending money acquiring new tools. You must be spending money testing out different things. You must be spending money getting the information. That's how you actually focus. No other way. Thank you guys. It's been a long podcast, but I really want to get that home because I get that all the time, and it is important that we actually get to the practical things, because you can come here and I tell you to be strong and be motivated and be disciplined and to be consistent, and you have to have a positive attitude and you have to go for your goals and believe in yourself. But unless I give you these practical things, like take up a book, work out your week, block your hours, add up the total hours, minus it from the hours that they say you need, see where you can tweak and fix it. Take up your statement, see where you're wasting money, see where you need more money, figure out how you're going to earn that money, know the time slot that you're going to dump money in, know what you're going to use the money to do. Unless I give you these practical things, then all you do is you listen to these motivational tapes and you read these motivation and you listen to these speeches, and you actually just run to stand still, because you power up, but you pretty much it's like a car that you put in a Porsche or a Ferrari on a ramp and just punch the gas. So you're this powerful being, but you never get any traction because the wheels are not on the ground. So we're putting your wheels on the ground with this podcast. So enjoy, guys, your day. Share this with somebody. Do something about it. Get your book if it's the first thing you do, and get a pen, and always have your notes. Take your notes, write your stuff down, plan your week. Plan your expenses and get going and get out there and be great. Thank you. Always a pleasure.